Thank you, David, for that warm welcome. Premier, federal and state colleagues, and our wonderful membership. The membership is always very special to me. Today, no one is more special than our previous leader, Peter Dutton. And I want to take a moment, Peter, to once more acknowledge you. From the front lines as a Queensland police officer to the heights of national leadership, your record is one of courage, commitment and conviction. I'm proud to have been your deputy for 3 years. It's one of the greatest professional privileges of my life. You've been a great friend, a source of strength, wisdom and advice over many years. I was so proud to have you lead us, and our parliamentary team was proud to have you lead us. Thank you for what you brought to all of us and for the legacy you lead. It is incredibly important today. And ladies and gentlemen, I think of Peter often as I walk the corridors of Parliament House. What would Peter say? What would he do? What examples can I draw from his leadership of our team? So thank you for being here, Peter. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, please rise to acknowledge Peter Dutton. It is a privilege to join you all here in Brisbane for this important gathering, to be among people who believe in the values that built this country. Reward for effort, strong families and communities, economic opportunity and a fair go. It's both grounding and energising. My connection to your beautiful state goes back 40 years. Murphy's Creek was my first home when my family arrived. As a 20-year-old, I came north to work for a Thargomindah shearing contractor, doing aerial mustering and working as a shearer's cook and shed hand. I had a commercial pilot's licence, a trusty Holden, and plenty of confidence and courage. I learned about life in the shearing sheds of Western Queensland, on the job. It was tough. I loved it. Queensland became part of my story, and it does remain a very special part of who I am. And across the years, I've returned here many times, including as a minister, shadow minister, deputy leader, and now as leader of the Liberal Party. Each visit has taught me more about Queenslanders and this great state. Each time I come, I learn more. So to the membership, thank you for your trust, your loyalty, and your support through the good times and the challenging times. Can I acknowledge Lawrence Springborg for your contribution to the party, to Queensland and to public life. It has been nothing short of extraordinary. You were a unifier when it mattered most, a reformer when courage was needed. You are the father of the modern LNP and your legacy will endure. To my colleagues who served with distinction in the last Parliament and were not returned. Peter Dutton, Bert van Manem, Luke Howarth, Ross Vaster, thank you. To our retiring members, Warren Ench and Karen Andrews, your service has left a mark and we are grateful. I also want to thank our candidates who took to the field in such tough contests. Carl Mutzelberg in Blair, Trevor Evans in Brisbane, Anthony Bishop in Griffith, Annette Swain in Kennedy, Jeremy Neal in Leichhardt, Kimberley Washington in Lilly, Henry Swindon in Moreton, Kevin Burns in Oxley, Paul Darwin in Rankin, Maggie Forrest in Ryan, and Senate candidate Stuart Fraser. Your efforts are appreciated. Stay strong, stay engaged. Your time will come. We also welcome new colleagues who join our parliamentary ranks, including Leon Rebello in Macpherson and David Batt in Hinkler. And we acknowledge those who fought valiantly in difficult contests, because your energy and ideas are vital to our future. I am lucky to have so many great colleagues from this mighty division of our party. Can I acknowledge my deputy, Ted O'Brien? Ted will be joining you all later. He's out there fighting the fight, following the productivity roundtable, and it's a big fight, let me assure you. Can I acknowledge David Littleproud as leader of the Nationals? A bloke from the bush, a trusted partner, someone who understands that we get better outcomes when we bridge the city-country divide, not divide it. Queenslanders have an incredibly important part to play in our path back to government. And Scott Bockholtz, Angie Bell, James McGrath, Susie McDonald, Paul Scarr, Andrew Wallace, Andrew Wilcox and Phil Thompson are all part of my shadow ministry and working bloody hard in critical roles. We're a great team. We're up for the fight. Friends, we cannot win government unless we win Queensland. This state is not only our heartland, it is our launchpad. And while we sadly lost a number of seats at the election, the Coalition holds 16 of 30 federal seats in Queensland, more than any other state, and won over 50% of the two-party vote. That is no accident. It is the product of your hard work, your values, and your unity. Queensland remains the strongest division in our movement. You saw the so-called Greensland wave recede. You repelled cashed-up independence and held the line when others fell. And even in adversity, people like Terry Young and others delivered, because Peter Dutton's work built a legacy of strength. Our task is to honour that legacy, not by looking backwards, but by winning back Dixon and every other seat we lost. We must also confront reality. We lost the federal election. The Australian people sent us a message and we have heard it. Too many voters, particularly in our urban centres, could not see themselves in today's Liberal Party. That must change. We must modernise. We must broaden our appeal. We must reflect the country we seek to govern. We must never lose sight of our values. The election review, led by Prue Goward and Nick Minchin, will give frank findings. But we're not waiting for that report to act. We are already opening up policy development process, empowering our grassroots and engaging new voices. I am determined to lead a party that listens first and then leads from there. That's why I have asked Senator James McGrath to conduct an in-depth review into our party and the way we connect with people. It's not a standard post-election review. It's a longer-term strategic reset. We want to reconnect with key voter groups, strengthen grassroots involvement, and chart a path for long-term success. I came to Australia as a migrant child. I worked as a cleaner and a cook. I earned my pilot's licence and flew mustering aircraft in the outback. I studied as a mature-age student with a baby on my hip. I helped run a farm during one of the worst downturns rural Australia has ever seen. I sat across the big table at the big bank, being told my family's farm wouldn't survive. I've lived through high interest rates, and I know what it's like to worry about the bills. I've run up and down the board in the shearing sheds, picking up 800 fleeces a day in the Queensland heat, so I know what it means to work hard with your hands and your back. This country gave me a chance. Every day, I get up determined to make sure that others get that chance too. Our task is to take the lessons of defeat and turn them into the foundations of renewal. This convention allows us to hear directly from our membership. Unlike Labor, we respect the differing views and ideas of the people who make up our great party. We will be a constructive opposition, but a determined one. When Labor falls short on cost of living, housing and foreign policy, we will call it out. We will also put forward a better alternative. Let me give you a heads up on where we're heading. As you know, our Shadow Treasurer, Ted O'Brien, attended the government's recent economic forum. He has been clear with me. At the next election, the Coalition will present a complete economic policy, not a grab bag of slogans, but a fully integrated plan that maintains the best of our current system while restoring balance and fairness. A fair and balanced economic policy drives productivity, supports viable businesses, attracts investment, encourages aspiration, and lifts living standards. We will not wimp out. That plan will include workplace relations. Now, Labor will try to shut down that debate. At the Treasurer's own productivity forum, industrial relations was ruled out of bounds. And after 3 days of choreographed talk in Canberra, struggling families are no better off, nothing to cut your power bills, nothing to lower your grocery prices, nothing to reverse the biggest fall in living standards in the developed world. Instead, Labor left the door wide open to higher taxes on your super, your savings, your house, and your family businesses. After 29 hours and 327 contributions, Australians were left with reviews, promises, and the certainty of more taxes. As the 9 papers themselves reported, most of Jim Chalmers' checklist had been known before the start. This was no reform summit, it was a tax talkfest. When Labor talks, Australians pay, and when they run out of money, they come after yours. That is why the Coalition will present, not just talk, but a complete economic plan to restore confidence, drive productivity, and lift living standards. I want to speak directly to a major concern for North Queensland. The future of the Mount Isa copper smelter and the Townsville refinery matters to local families and to the nation. Their continued operation is in the national interest and central to the future of Australian manufacturing. At stake are around 17,000 jobs, and the industries that rely on copper for building, transport, electronic products, industrial machinery and equipment. Our LNP representatives, Phil Thompson, Senator Susan McDonald and Andrew Wilcox, are strong advocates. They're working with the Christopher government as it engages the Commonwealth on measures that can keep this critical capability viable in the short, the medium and the long term. We back them because we back North Queensland. We know that energy is central to Queensland's economy, from the smelters in Gladstone to the refineries in Townsville, from farms in the Darling Downs to the suburbs of Brisbane. Families and businesses need power that is reliable and affordable. Our policy will back emerging technology and common sense. We support ending the ban on nuclear energy so we can have a real conversation about long-term energy security. This is about keeping jobs in regional Queensland and ensuring that manufacturing has a future. Reliable power also means planning the grid properly, valuing firming capacity, and building on the strengths of our resources and skills. We will pursue a balanced mix that secures supply, lowers bills over time, and supports Australian industry. Queensland can lead that next chapter, and we should let it. Now, the housing crisis is one of the greatest pressures on working Australians. Home ownership feels out of reach for too many. Young families cannot get a start. Renters are being squeezed. Our policy will focus on supply, not slogans. We will work with states and councils to increase land release, cut red tape and streamline approvals. We will help first home buyers without inflating prices. We will partner with the private sector to deliver more homes faster. We will also make sure that infrastructure keeps pace with growth, that planning rewards density in the right places, and that young Australians can see a path to owning a place of their own. That is exactly why I decided to appoint James McGrath as the Shadow Minister for Urban Infrastructure and Cities. It's a dedicated priority for this term. A coalition plan will put the dream of home ownership back within reach. Now, Australians are waiting too long for basic health care. GP clinics are under strain, emergency departments are overcrowded, aged care is crying out for reform. We're working with health professionals to craft practical solutions. We will focus on workforce shortages, reduce bureaucratic burdens, and expand access to telehealth. In aged care, we will back quality and dignity, not just dollars, with clear standards and the workforce to deliver them. Mental health must be treated as core business for our health system. Access, early intervention, and community-based support will be priorities. This is about better outcomes, not bigger bureaucracy. As the first woman to lead the Liberal Party, I carry a deep sense of responsibility. And it was great to be with the LNP Women's Conference yesterday, and wonderful to see so many faces that joined us for that important session. We will pursue policies that improve women's safety and economic security, and that means ensuring that men are part of what we do. We will support more flexible childcare, expand support for domestic violence prevention, and work closely to close the gender pay gap, but in practical ways that make a difference. I want to see more women in our party, in our parliament, and in our leadership. And we're putting in place reforms to ensure that happens. The world is becoming more dangerous. Australia needs to be ready. We will hold Labor to account for delays in defence procurement. We will continue to champion AUKUS, strengthen our ties with trusted allies, and ensure that Australia is a credible force for peace and stability. And yes, the Prime Minister must secure a direct meeting with the US President. Our alliance demands leadership. But instead of strengthening that alliance, the Prime Minister has made one of the most reckless foreign policy calls in living memory. By unilaterally recognising a Palestinian state outside of a proper peace process, he has not only undermined our closest ally, he has invited praise from a listed terrorist organisation. When terrorists are cheering your foreign policy, you know you have got it wrong. There can be no reward for terror and no recognition without peace. Thank you. We all want the war to end. We all want Israeli hostages to be released. And we all want food and aid to reach those desperately in need. But the path to that is through negotiation, security, and a genuine two-state process, not through unilateral gestures that make peace less likely. A coalition government will always stand with liberal democracies, with our allies, and with the cause of peace. And we will revoke this decision because we believe in a two-state solution reached through negotiation, never as a concession to violence. That is the standard Australians should expect from their leaders, to be clear-eyed about threats, principled in defending our values, and unwavering in standing with those who share them. And it is the same standard we will bring to every issue we face, from global security to local opportunity. The Brisbane Olympics are a once-in-a-generation opportunity for this state, but under Labor, more than 1,200 days were wasted. No serious planning, no clear vision. The new Queensland LNP government is getting on with the job. Within 100 days, they did more to prepare for the Games than the previous government did in 3 years. That is what competent centre-right leadership looks like. And let me say this to the Prime Minister: the rowing and the tennis stay in Queensland. The Games are not for export, they belong to Queensland. Premier David Crisafulli and his team are showing the nation how it is done. From fixing the budget to tackling youth crime, from backing the resources sector to delivering hospital upgrades, they are proving every day that centre-right government works. The LNP is delivering for Queenslanders, and we intend to deliver for all Australians. This convention is about listening and learning. We're opening our policy process and inviting the grassroots to shape it. Over coming months, we will hold policy forums and community outreach across the nation. When we come to your area, please show up and speak up. Tell us what matters to you. Tell us what you expect from us. Your lived experience makes our plans stronger. Personal conversations, one voter to another, will rebuild trust from the ground up. We don't have the megaphone of government, but we have you, our members and supporters, who can testify to your communities about the positive vision we offer. This is also a time for unity. In the aftermath of defeat, there are recriminations and second-guessing. That is human nature. Let us resist the urge to look backwards in anger. Let us look forward in solidarity. We are the Liberal National Party. We have transformed this country for the better before. We will do so again. Our opponents would like to see us divided and despondent. We will not give them that satisfaction. We will pull together, rebuild together, and win together. I'm reminded of something someone once told me, that in every defeat lie the seeds of your next victory, if you're willing to plant them, nurture them, and help them grow. We are planting those seeds now. New ideas, new approaches, new faces. With your help, we will nurture them through hard work, debate, and engagement with our community. In 2028, I have every confidence those seeds will grow into a victory harvest and a mandate from the Australian people that we are fit to govern once more. So to all the party faithful gathered here, let's get to work. Let's roll up our sleeves and do the listening, the reviewing, and the policy development that needs to be done. Let's take the fight to the Labor government on behalf of Australians who deserve better. Let us hold them to account for rising cost of living, faltering services, and arrogant decisions like trying to shift Queensland Olympic events into state. We will provide constructive criticism and constructive solutions. Leave this conference with your spirits lifted and your purpose renewed. Talk to your communities about what you've heard here. Share our optimism that Australia's best days are ahead of us. With all the global uncertainty and challenges, I still know this country has what it takes to thrive. But it needs leadership that trusts Australians to make their own choices and fulfil their aspirations. That is the leadership we offer. So I want to conclude with this pledge. Under my leadership, the Liberal National Party will work tirelessly every day to prove ourselves worthy of governing this great nation. We will not rely on spins or stunts. We will rely on consistent, principled effort. We will respect the voters' message from 2025 and never take any Australians' support for granted. We will put forward policies that address real problems and a vision that speaks to hope, opportunity, and security for all. When we next face the voters, we will say, judge us by our plans and our actions. If we do our job well, I am confident Australians will once again place their trust in us. So friends, we have a big task and an incredible team. Together as a united Liberal National Party, we can and we will rekindle the flame of opportunity in this country. Let us get out there, listen to the people, develop the policies Australia needs, and come back in 3 years ready to win and ready to govern. The future is ours to shape. Let's shape it for the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan, for outlining your vision for